presentation of the colors, followed by all fired up singing our national anthem. At the conclusion of the anthem, our flag will be flown at half-staff. For information, those in uniform and veterans should stand at attention and salute from the first until the last note of our national anthem. All others should stand at attention and place your right hand over your heart until the last note is played.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Right, hit, forward.
Now, Warden John Soto from the California Department of Corrections will speak about the history and the mission statement of the Fallen Heroes Memorial. Warden Soto?
Good morning. It's an honor and a privilege to be here today. The Antelope Valley Fallen Heroes Memorial, honoring line of duty death, was originated by the Antelope Valley Women's Club and the Palmdale and Lancaster Sheriff's Department boosters groups. The memorial honors members of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, Los Angeles County Fire Department, Angeles National Forest, Fire Department, California Highway Patrol, and the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. We have served in the Antelope Valley and gave ultimate sacrifice. The memorial was dedicated in November 2008, and on behalf of the CPLAC, it's an honor and privilege to be here with all of our brothers and sisters in each and every organization.
Thank you, Warden Soto. We will now have our 9/11's Remembrance Statements of Purpose. Assistant Fire Chief Gerald Cozy, LASD Palmdale Station Captain Don Ford, and retired CHP Assistant Chief and current Deputy Chief of Shafter PD Brian Smith will talk about personal and professional memories of 9/11 and what that event meant to them and their organizations.
I know for all of us here today, September 11th, 2001 changed our world forever. There were many heroes that performed selfless acts that day. In fact, there were too many to count. I think about the courage of the police officers and firefighters who rushed into the burning towers to bring thousands to safety. I think about the courage of the Flight 93 passengers who resolved to save lives, perhaps hundreds of other innocent victims on the ground, by storming the cabin of their plane. I think about the countless hours rescuers devoted to the recovery operations at the World Trade Center and Pentagon sites. Yes, there were many heroes that day, but I'd like to reflect on two of them. Firefighter Danny Sir worked on Engine Company 216. Danny and his crew were one of the first to arrive at the World Trade Center buildings. Danny was affectionately called Captain America by his fellow firefighters. He played football. As a matter of fact, he was the captain of the FDNY football team, as well as the Brooklyn Mariners semi-pro football team. Danny was a part of a very brave, tough, and dedicated public service family. His father was a firefighter, his brother was a firefighter, and his sister was a police officer. You see, Daniel Sir was the first firefighter killed on 9/11. Danny and his crew were setting up operations to enter the South Tower when all of a sudden Danny was struck by a person who had jumped from the burning floors above. 7 of Danny's fellow firefighters rushed to Danny's aid just moments after the incident. They transported him to Bellevue Hospital. During that transport, the South Towers came down. His fellow firefighters stayed with him because they could not leave him behind. Members of the Engine Company 216 credited Danny for saving their lives. To these firefighters, firefighter Daniel Sir was their hero. Captain J. Jonas. Captain J. Jonas was a member of Ladder Company 6. He and his crew were in the North Tower when the second plane hit the South Tower. As Jonas's crew reached the 27th floor, they noticed the lights begin to flicker. They didn't know it at the time, but soon they were told via radio that the South Tower had just collapsed. The crew made the decision to turn around and descend the stairway. When they got to the 20th floor, they observed a heavyset woman in distress who couldn't walk anymore. This woman's name was Josephine Harris. Now, Josephine was a very sturdy, very tough woman. She had been hit by a car months earlier. Is currently walking with a brace on her leg. She was injured, but she was determined to get out of that building. Now, Josephine had already descended 50 floors when she became too exhausted to continue. Captain Jonas's crew assisted Josephine by slowing down to her pace and then continuing down the stairwell. They reached the 4th floor when the unthinkable happened. The North Tower began to collapse around them. The crew of Ladder Company 6 thought their time had come. As it turns out, Captain Jonas, his crew, Josephine Harris, were extremely fortunate because the little pocket of space they were in remained semi-intact. In fact, anybody that was below them would not have survived. There were 14 of them trapped in that pocket of space for 4 hours until they were rescued, but they all survived. They lost 11 people at that firehouse that day, including a chief officer who was a floor below them, communicating with them while they were trapped. If it not had been for the selfless act of stopping to rescue Josephine Harris, they all would have perished. Today, the members of Ladder Company 6 still call Josephine Harris their guardian angel. Now, firefighters all over the country are using this day of remembrance to reflect and honor the courage of the 343 firefighters who made that ultimate sacrifice that day in 2001. Organizations all over the country are embracing this day that occurred, of remembrance that occurred 12 years ago. Nationwide, many firefighters are honoring September 11th by wearing their firefighting gear and performing 110-story stair climbs inside buildings within their cities. They dedicated their efforts to the many rescuers who ascended the 210-story towers. As they climb, they were reminded to take each step with purpose and without hesitation. They do this, and we do this, so the firefighters of September 11th will never be forgotten. Thank you.
On September 11, 2001, the world changed forever. Most of us were witnesses to that change. I'll never forget where I was or what I was doing, and I've never been prouder to be a member of this organization in Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department than that day. We stand, as always, united with all police and firefighters everywhere. I was at the watch commander's office at Wayside Honor Rancho when someone came and told me that a plane had crashed into the tower. I turned on the television thinking what a horrible accident it was. And as I watched in horror, I witnessed the second plane flying into the second tower and realized almost immediately this was no accident. The very next action was simply this: call my people together and tell them what had happened and tell them we had a job to do. As the firefighters in New York did, as the police in New York did, the Port Authority police, they all went to their jobs. Their jobs were to protect those inmates that may be blamed for something that someone else did. Without hesitation, without prejudice, each and every one of them set about their jobs, wondering about family, friends, people they knew in New York, other firefighters, other policemen that may have been injured, because we always stand as one. But as always, they did their job. They didn't stop to blame anybody. They didn't stop to look around and say, what caused this? They simply responded. Today is a day of remembrance and honor. The best way we can honor those who gave their lives on September 11th, 2001, is to continue that tradition of service, to serve with honor, to respond to every event with the only way we know how. Go into the fight, take care of the business to be taken care of with pride, with compassion, and to make sure that anyone that we can gets saved. Make sure that anyone that brings this sort of evil is appropriately punished. We honor those today that died. There were 343 firefighters that were killed. There were 23 police officers from the New York Police Department and 37 police officers from the Port Authority Police. That is the single largest loss of life for public safety employees in the world at all times in one day. The way we can honor them is simply this: go out and do good for someone. That's what they were doing. That was their job that day, to try and save someone, even though it may cost them their lives. And the best way I can think of to honor them is for everyone here to think of something they can do for someone else. By doing good, we repay the evil in a way that they can't defeat. There is no end to what we can do as a community, as that day taught us. After evil hit us, the community pulled together, the world pulled together. We continue that tradition to this day as you see firefighters, forestry firefighters, police officers, CHP officers, everyone pulling together in the community here to support us all. As we are one with the people that died that day, we are one community here today. And I ask you all to remember them by simply doing the honor of doing good. Thank you.
Good morning. Before I begin, I just wanted to share that on my way here, on the radio, they played actual footage from that day. And if you don't think you're traumatized still, listen to some of the actual recordings and see how emotional you get, and see that this many years later that we're still affected by what happened on that day. I was the commander of the California Highway Patrol here in the Antelope Valley when this occurred. And just before I do that, if you were a veteran, a peace officer, firefighter, or part of the EMS system, if you could please just raise your hand at this moment. I just want to thank you for your service. I was also in the United States Marine Corps. On December 1st, 2000, I reported to the Antelope Valley office as a brand new commander. Almost 10 months later, on September 11th, I was woken up at 6 o'clock in the morning by my wife to advise that a terrible airplane accident occurred in New York City. I woke up and ran to the television when we observed the horrible sights, including a second plane crashing into the South Tower. At first, we thought it was a tragic plane crash into the North Tower, but as soon as the second plane slammed into the South Tower, we knew it was an attack. And just to recap for those of you, this is East Coast time. At 8:46, the plane flies into the North Tower. At 9:03 a.m., the plane flies into the South Tower. 9:37 a.m., the plane flies into the Pentagon. At 10:03, a plane crashes into the field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania, when the passengers fought the hijackers. It is believed that that plane was headed for the Capitol building or the White House. 2,977 victims were killed. 246 of them on 4 planes. 2,606 were in New York. 125 at the Pentagon. Sorry, I usually have Tom Lackey turn my pages for me. At least 200 people fell or jumped to their death. 411 emergency workers died as they tried to rescue people or put out fires. And 19 hijackers reported to hell that day. We sat in shock as we watched. We never thought the continental United States could ever be attacked like that. We always heard about Pearl Harbor, but never imagined we would ever see an attack on our soil. One of the downfalls, I think, of being an officer is that you overanalyze everything. You never just think about the victims, but you think about how they died. What was going through their mind in those final moments? Their fears, their families, their children, their parents. Chief Cozy spoke about the heroes and just a couple examples. How many hero stories will we never hear because the witnesses that witnessed those hero moments didn't survive to tell us? You then think about how hopeless you were to help them, even though they were 3,000 miles away. I remember I called the CHP office and told them to be on alert for any local attacks. You had no idea how big the terrorist plans were. I had units patrol the power sources, overcrossings, and I immediately reported to the office. I then checked in with our senator, assemblymen, and congressmen to make sure they were safe and advised to call if they or any of their constituents needed assistance. We were on high alert. A couple days later, the Antelope Valley held a rally, almost like this one, to allow everyone in the everyone in the community an opportunity to gather and bond. I think many people needed to get a feeling of security again. Some group attacked the world superpower, and we needed assurance that we were still that superpower. Every house flew the American flag, and almost every vehicle replaced their Lakers or Dodger flags with the American flag. That event fueled a lot of patriotism in this country, patriotism that had been missing for a long time. Although it was a horrific and traumatic event, we all united together and became a solid, God-loving country again. Thank you for the opportunity to allow me to speak and attend this today. God bless every one of you, and God bless America.
Although we're here to recognize 9/11, the incident that happened on 9/11, I think it's only appropriate that we recognize the 14 men and women of the Antelope Valley that lost their lives in the line of duty. Captain Philip P. Goodwell, LA County Fire Department, June of 1968. Helicopter pilot Thomas Grady, LA County Fire Department, July 1977. Captain Daniel Elkins, LA County Fire Department, July 2004. Fire Captain Tedman Hall, LA County Fire Department, August 2009. Firefighter Specialist Arnaldo Cornelos, LA County Fire Department, August 2009. Battalion Chief Kenneth Burton, Angeles National Forest, November 1985. Captain Gilbert Lopez, Angeles National Forest, July 1981. Constable Herbert Gilden, LA County Sheriff's Department, the AV Station, November 1920. Deputy Rosemary May, LA County Sheriff's Department, the Antelope Station, September 1989. Deputy Gregory Lowe, LA County Sheriff's Department, the AV Station, February 1978. Deputy Charles Palou, LA County Sheriff's Department, Antelope Valley Station, February 1978. Deputy Richard Hammett, LA County Sheriff's Department, the AV Station, May of 1992. Deputy Stephen Sorensen, LA County Sheriff's Department, the Lancaster Station, August 20 of 03. Deputy Perry Bain, LA County Sheriff's Department, the Lancaster Station, March of 2006. Please remember these 14 men and women that lost their lives in the line of duty in the Antelope Valley.
He stood beside his daddy and watched the firemen marching by. It was 911 and he wondered why there was tears in Daddy's eyes. Later they laid flowers beside a monumental stone. He said, "Son, my daddy went to work, but he didn't make it home. Fallen, not forgotten, he was a hero who stood so tall, and forever we will remember with honor and glory. He gave his all, he gave his all. They left behind their families, the towns where they were born. for the FDNY and NYPD Blue. They went to work at the office to Tower 1 and Tower 2. They paid the price, they gave their lives, they died for me and you. Fallen, not forgotten, they were the heroes who stood so tall, and forever we will remember with honor and glory, with honor and glory, with honor and glory. They gave their all.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for coming. We're here today not only to pay tribute to these brave souls that gave their lives on that terrible day 12 years ago, but also to honor those first responders who have sacrificed so much in the service of their communities. As the families of those 14 on that spear can attest, selfless acts of heroism occur across this great nation on a daily basis. This year alone, nearly 70 law enforcement officers have died in the light of duty. In 2012, more than 60 firefighters lost their lives, and on one terrible day in June this year, a firestorm took 19 lives in the rugged mountains of Arizona. We are also here to honor them. I've been asked to read a poem by Alan Jankowski, which is entitled "We Shall Never Forget." Let the world always remember that fateful day in September, and the ones who answered duty's call should be remembered by us all, who left the comfort of their home to face perils yet unknown, an embodiment of goodness on a day when men's hearts had gone astray. Sons and daughters like me and you, who never questioned what they had to do, who by example were a source of hope and strength to others who could not cope. Heroes that would not turn their back, with determination that would not crack, who bound together in their ranks and asking not a word of thanks. Men who bravely gave their lives, who orphaned kids and widowed wives, can proudly look back on their moms and dads who gave this country all they had. Actions taken without regret, heroisms we shall never forget. The ones who paid the ultimate price, let's never forget their sacrifice. And never forget the ones who no longer here, who fought for the freedoms we all hold dear. And may their memory never wane, lest their sacrifices be in vain. Again, thank you for being here, and may God continue to bless the United States of America.
Uniform personnel, at 10. At this time, we will honor the fallen heroes that perished in the World Trade Center towers in New York City on this day, September 11th, 2001. 12 years ago, at 8:46 a.m., the World Trade Center North Tower was attacked and followed by the South Tower at 9:03 a.m. In those attacks, 343 firefighters and 60 peace officers lost their lives in the performance of their duties. We honor them with the traditional last alarm. In the early days of the fire department, when a firefighter perished in the line of duty, the tragedy was signaled to all by ringing the fire bell 5 times and repeated 3 times. We honor them now.
Uniform personnel, breathe it up.
Amazing Grace is a hymn written by English poet John Newton that was published in 1779. It is one of the most recognizable songs in the English-speaking world and considered the most famous of all folk hymns. U.S. Forest Service Honor Guard bagpiper Bob Conacher will now play Amazing Grace for us.
First, I'd just like to say thank you to everyone that came out today to honor our fallen heroes here. The Fallen Heroes Memorial you see just off to my left here was put there through the efforts of a lot of people. And we want to thank the entire committee and especially some of the former members of the committee that made this possible. What I would like everybody to do when the formal part of the ceremony is through, take a chance, the opportunity to go over there, take a look at the names on that memorial. Normally there's a chain up around it. Right now you can go walk right up to it. I want you to walk up to it and put your hand on it and just touch the names. Read the names, pick one, say it out loud. That's how we honor people. That's how we honor their memory, is by remembering. These people made sacrifices for us so that we could be here today. It says, lift your hand, touch their names, and take that same hand and go out and do something about it. It says, there is still evil in this world, and we need heroes like them to protect us from that evil. This is a remembrance. It is not a funeral. It's not a joyous occasion. It's a solemn occasion. But we should go here not sad, but with pride. And those that have gone before us and have made the ultimate sacrifice, and with thanks. And that's what I ask each of you. I thank you for coming out today, for honoring the fellow police officers and firefighters that I serve with. And I thank you for taking your time out to remember the sacrifice they made, and ask you just to remember to honor them in everything you do every day. Thank you, everyone.